Welcome, warriors.
Yay!
Thanks for joining us again this week. We love you.
Yes.
Yes, you guys are the best. We are so stoked about sharing this episode with you all today.
Speaking of best, Nancy's
Speaking
the
of
best.
best, Nancy Beechy, our amazing guest. She is awesome. We both know her. I wanted to say knew her, but really we know her.
We do know her.
Yeah. Before Abby jumps into a little bit of a recap about our conversation, let me let you all know a little bit about who Nancy Beechy is. Nancy Beechy is a lover of quality time, conversation, and side hustles. She has degrees in liberal arts with a concentration in pre-health and biology and received her Master of Occupational Therapy degree. She's since worked as a pediatric OT for 10 years. In 2015, she began a side baking business called Naughty Turned Nice Sweets and Treats, which closed during the pandemic. She continues to love baking and learned so much from the process. In 2018, she found yoga and mindfulness during a continuing education children's course and pursued this further. The impact of pursuing a deeper understanding of yoga and mindfulness to use as a modality for her students and clients has changed her life. The practice and working with kids in real time has helped her turn inward and understand herself better. Her most recent side hustle, called Breathe, Move, Believe, helps to create community partnerships with a local gym to give all school district employees, everyone from the custodians to the superintendent, an opportunity to explore in a safe space. All right, Abby, so let's hop into a little bit of a recap about this chat.
I really like how Nancy begins the chat by using the term high functioning anxiety. And I just heard it as like a high functioning anxiety warrior. She begins with sharing how, she didn't know her experience was anxiety until her adult years, which is super relatable to so many of us anxiety warriors. But anxiety really did show up in her childhood along with perfectionism. She shares how she made the transition from being homeschooled to entering the public school in middle school. And it was a rude awakening for her, for one, all of the pressures that middle schoolers face, but also because she didn't have the same socialization as her peers at that point, that a lot of things were new for her that she hadn't experienced before. She shares the power of how by showing our humanness and being vulnerable and sharing our stories, how these are gifts for other people so that we don't feel so alone in our experiences. And maybe we can all learn lessons from each other and support each other. This was just a beautiful, beautiful story. And Nancy is a beautiful human being and so eloquently shares the heavier sides and the lighter sides of anxiety. And it was just such a joy. It was such a joy having her on.
Yeah, agreed on all counts. She gave us some new stuff, right?
Yes.
That we haven't really heard from a lot of our guests before. And certainly things that we've talked about maybe in our friendship, but less on the show. So
yes.
We're so excited for all of you warriors to get to hear from this wonderful warrior. Here she is. Welcome back, Warrior Fam.
Yay.
We are joined today by the wonderful Nancy Beechy. Welcome, Nancy.
Yay.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
We are so excited that you're with us. All right, so let's just dive right into your story. Share with us a little bit about how anxiety shows up in your life.
Okay, so for me, with my anxiety, I feel that I didn't really realize that that's what it was until the last few years. So definitely it shows up a lot for me in the workplace and lots of different areas in my life. But I always just thought it was because I was like on the go person, and now I'm realizing that it's that high functioning anxiety. So I think during the pandemic, I really started to realize that this was definitely anxiety. So yeah.
Interesting.
I love high functioning anxiety. I feel like we don't hear that enough, right? And it's basically, it means like nobody knows how much you're suffering, right? Because you can show up, get the job done. On the outside, everything looks totally, I don't like saying normal, but we all know what I mean by that. But on the inside, at least for me, it's like utter chaos.
Mine is inner turmoil.
Yes. What a great term, high functioning anxiety, which I've heard before, but like not often enough.
Yeah.
So Margot and I both really relate to not knowing that like most of our life was anxiety, especially like during childhood, until much later. And you're around our age. So did you feel like anxiety was happening as a kid too, and you were high functioning anxious? Or
Definitely looking back, absolutely. I didn't know at the time, but I was always perfectionistic, and especially when I was in homeschool. So I didn't realize what that was until I got to public school. And then thinking back to like skipping school dances to like finish this art project that was on graph paper. It's something silly. Like looking back, I'm like, I didn't go to a dance because I had to like make every square this way. Like it had to be, I look back and I'm like, dang, like it wasn't that stressful. Why did I make it so stressful? But I didn't have the awareness. And I think my mom has the same things going on. And now that I have like the growth, like I kind of see like she's always on the go, and that's how, me and my siblings are. So we just thought that's what you do. That's what we are. We're just like, go, go, go people.
yes.
So.
And I really love how you just painted that moment where you chose not to do something fun, right? Because you couldn't let go of like finishing and perfecting some art project that in hindsight doesn't really mean that much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think so many anxiety warriors can really relate to like how hard it is to let things go, especially like when perfectionism is showing up. But I feel like even when it doesn't have to be perfect, maybe it is perfectionism, but it's like so hard. It's like, no, my brain will not transition to this other event because it'll keep thinking about the thing I need to finish, or it needs to be perfect or something. And so
that's so true. And it definitely obviously still shows up now. Like I could think of a situation this week. It's just, noticing it and like, okay, that's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And then looking back, like, oh my gosh, so many moments. Yeah.
And so I guess my final question is, so you mentioned being homeschooled and then transitioning into public school. And I mean, whether I had anxiety or not, that sounds like a very anxiety producing time. Can you share a little bit about, I've only been to public school, so I only know what it's like to be in public school. I have no idea what homeschool is like. I know it's changed and adapted over the years, but can you share a little bit about that time?
Absolutely. So I was in public school for kindergarten and first grade. And then my parents decided to pull us out and homeschool my sister and I. My mom got remarried and they decided that's what they were going to do. So, I mean, for me, I was excited because we were like big, like my mom was big in the church, and her close friend who helped guide her as a single mom homeschooled her children. So we followed like that curriculum and just her template. So we followed this Christian curriculum. It was very like independent work. So that was that. But definitely the only social interactions I had were church camp, choir, church, Jesus, more Jesus.
Socialize with Jesus.
We did like a lot of it was choir, but we also like plays, like performances for the church. I look back and I'm like, gosh, I wish I could find those VHSs that they like. Yeah, it's just funny. I think I was definitely, when I was comfortable at looking back, like I was good because I was with like my people at the time, I guess you could call it. But then transitioning in 7th grade, which junior high, it's kind of like, whoa. That was definitely, it was a lot. Like it was like a shock. I mean, from like what I wore because I didn't care, to the music I listened to just like not knowing what to say to like these girls and people. And I mean, that's when you're like, you have boyfriends and like boys are cute. It was like total overload.
And no
So,
Jesus. There's not really a lot of Jesus in public
no,
school.
there's not. Yeah. So, I mean, I look back and I think a lot of the girls invited me. It reminds me of like the movie Mean Girls. Like they invited me to their like birthday parties. I think because I was the new girl. And I remember going to these like huge houses and they were all singing these songs. And I'm like, I don't know the words. Like, I don't know these songs. And like, we didn't really watch a lot of TV. Like my mom was pretty strict, and I was just like, oh man, like I would just like stand there. I don't even think I knew like what to like how to dance with them. I was like, this is different. Because they would just like stand in the basement and sing. Was that 90s? So
Yeah.
now it's TikTok and watch yourself. But before, like probably thank God we didn't have like a videotape.
Yes. Yes.
But I mean,
So
for me, it was a lot because I remember my sister went to public school a year before I did. So I was at home with my little brother. And I remember being in the car and she would always try to tease me because she was always more rebellious. And she would turn on like, it's still actually like B96 here in Chicago. I don't know what it is for you girls, but she turned on Crystal Waters, Back to the Middle and Around Again.
Yes.
And I was like, turn it off. We're going to go to hell. Like,
Oh, no,
seriously.
my
And
God.
I thought it was like my job if like someone spent the night, like, you know, to make sure like they didn't go to hell. Like, oh, girl. Like, I
That's
look
a
back
lot of
and I was like,
pressure.
well, looking back, I was like, oh, bless your heart, Nancy. Like, people were just so nice to you because they're probably like, what the?
Like this
Fill
girl
in the
needs
blank with whatever.
this girl needs some guidance in the ways
Yeah.
of being a teen or tween and teen in
Oh
public
my
school.
gosh. Yeah. So there's just a lot of pieces. And specifically, we went to these schools in the suburbs where they had, I would say, a lot of money. So that was also tricky, like, because I didn't care before. And then I became like needed to care, I felt, to fit in. So
yeah, so you like adapted and adopted some, right, which happens to a lot of tweens and teens, right? It's not just coming from a completely sheltered child's like, you know, younger childhood like you, but like I know I could relate to doing and saying things that didn't really feel like me, but I felt like I should at least try them on, or you know what I mean? And I don't just mean clothes. I mean like try things on metaphorically, right? Like see what this looks like in my life. What if I tried that activity? What if I let go of this and gave that a shot? You know, just like trying to find yourself at that age is so challenging. And you wind up seeing so much of who you are reflected by your peers, right?
yeah.
And there's so much confusion, and like I'm just trying to process the concept of going from homeschooling straight to middle school. Like it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you kind of were able to take it all in stride, that you were go with the flow about it all, like, or am I just projecting, or is that just me projecting? Like what did you remember feeling like anything super intense about this transition? Or
I think, I mean, there's certain things, like I remember like in the locker room, like the girls just change, you know, and I was like, I don't know if like, you know, my mom's single mom, like learning, like, I don't know if I could say this, but like, I don't think I wore a bra yet. So like, I like went and changed in the stall. And then I told my mom, like, and I was like, I think I need to shave my legs, like Greek and Italian over here, girl. Like, you know, we're in these, I didn't care before. Like nobody said anything to me because I was with like my mom, and like, I mean, my sister has definitely always been, she's a hairdresser, fashionista. So she'd be like, I am not getting on the bus with you looking like that. We need to wax your eyebrows. And now I'm like, oh, why did I let her do that to me? Like I had these, like, everyone wants like the big brows now. And I'm like, but it's okay. You know, those 90s pencil thin.
Abby's talked about it a lot on our show.
My cousin did it to me. So I'm with you. I had some nice luscious brows at one point too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it
Interesting.
sounds to me like such a culture shock,
Mhm.
right? And I mean, when you paint the picture of, being with those girls in the basement and they're singing and dancing and you like don't even know the song and you're like trying to be part of the group. Like I just have so much social anxiety for that younger version of you because I can imagine how I would feel in that situation.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then like on top of it, I had the same stuff. Like I wasn't really shaving until 7th grade. We had to all change. And I was like, oh, like I remember my friend made fun of me once because I pulled my socks up super high to hide my legs. And she was like, what are you
Mhm.
doing? And I was like, shut up. Right. Like, and so we all had our own battles in middle school, but you had like an extra layer to it in trying to, I don't know if it's like conform, but trying to like find your peers and your people and build relationships.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think too, looking back, my sister, she would more so just like say whatever. And like, I think I was like embarrassed to even ask my mom like for a bra or like to shave my legs. Like, and then I think when I would say something, like she would, be like, oh yeah, yeah, let's do that. But she just would never had the present awareness to like even know, like, she was very busy with my sister. So the social butterfly getting into trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. You
So,
just don't know until you know. Right. And so
mhm.
you had to be like an advocate for yourself. Like, hey, I need a bra here. I'm supposed to be changing in front of other girls. Like,
Yeah. I mean, there's just
Yeah.
so much like I remember in like 5th grade. I don't know if this is the same for you, Ab, or you either, Nancy. It's like you went to that workshop like in the evening with all the girls and their moms, and you learned about changing bodies, and like there was all these notebooks and pamphlets, and it was just like mortifying and awful. And like everyone's giggling and acting like a fool because it's all so embarrassing. You're there with parents, and it's like a 2-hour workshop, air quotes. And then like, that's it. I don't ever remember ever like really learning in school about like, in health class was a joke. Maybe that was just my middle school and high school experience. But this is the first time we've ever really explored this topic on our show, even, right? Like we've talked a lot about what it meant to grow up in the time period that we did in the 80s and 90s, a lot about that. You're our first guest that's been through homeschool, at least as far as we know. But just thinking about like those transitions for girls in particular, right? And Abby and I did a whole episodes about anxiety as a woman, but we really didn't cover too much about anxiety as like a tween girl, as like a
Mhm.
teen girl, and how unique the challenges. And I'm sure the same is true for boys too, right? But we're all, we're all females here, so and identify as females, so we're only going to speak from our perspectives. But I don't know. Like, I feel like this is something I want to explore maybe in a future episode. I feel like
Yeah.
this is an important topic for, I'm sure, a lot of moms with young girls who are coming into that age bracket, maybe wondering how the heck they should talk to their kids about this kind of stuff so they can maybe do better for their kids that they didn't get potentially. Yeah, it's just so interesting.
yeah.
So interesting. Thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Yeah.
I find it
Of
fascinating. I thought it was
course.
a fascinating part of our call for sure. All right. So you've talked a little bit about you being a little bit of a perfectionist or maybe a recovering perfectionist. And, when you and I had our pre-interview call, you had shared this incredible, relatable line that I just knew I had to follow up with here on the pod. You just said, I'm the best opener and the worst closer. And I love this. You said something to the effect of like, you're great at starting, but not getting to the finish line. So I know that I could deeply relate to this idea. So like share with our listeners more about what that looks like for you and how you navigate it and work through it.
Yeah, sure. I feel like for me, I get super excited about ideas, and I can not, I wouldn't say call it selling anything, because I don't think that's what I'm trying to do in the first place, but sometimes it happens that way. Like I'm just really passionate about an idea, and I can think like such big picture. And that's, I feel like the, kind of the gifts of ADD and anxiety in a way. You think differently, and it can be a beautiful thing and a messy thing, obviously. But so I, starting my side business, I basically turned like my little bake sale that I used to like hand out treats at the clinic I used to work at into a business over spring break, and like launched it, because there was just so many things going wrong with the situation. So it was like just enough pressure, the right amount to produce this awesome beginning. But then when it comes to like the day-to-day, like, the important things like managing the books and, doing those I love type A people. I'm like type Z and a half. I don't know what that is, but I
relate without knowing.
None of the
Totally.
above. And so like, I try to adopt like those things. And I always think the perfectionism is like, well, I can do that. I can start this business. I can do the books and I can do this. And like, if I'm at that like time where I'm like so passionate and excited, like I can go. And like, people are like, this is amazing. You're crushing it. Like, I remember having those conversations. Like, I was in Paleo magazine, like right away somehow. Like, I just had good people around me supporting me, and all my friends showed up. And then longevity wise, like I just crash and burn. And I think that's where I'm the worst closer. And then I'll say like, I'm going to take a break from something. And then I can look back at like many things like this, like track in college. Like, I'll go back next season, or Naughty Turn Nice. I'm going to take a break because I need a social life, and I'll go back to it. But looking back, just knowing the times when you need to partner with someone or be like, I don't got this, like, and get someone who can support you in the closing, because I am not the greatest at like and some people like that stuff. Like, they will make chore lists for themselves and task lists. And it just is like, wow, that's amazing. Like, and it's, I don't know if I'm going too like far into it, but for me, making more of the smaller decisions is helping me to get to that bigger picture.
Yeah.
And before, like, I was like, oh, I don't need that or that, or, how many like programs did I buy to help me organize my business and never use them? How many books have I given to half price books because it's going to help me be the best entrepreneur? I'm like, girl, stop. So anyway.
Yes. First of all, I so can relate to what you're saying. Like, it is, I have ADD too. And it is so, you get an idea, you get inspired, you have some passion, and you like dive right in like full force. And it's like, hey, I'm doing this and it's doing really well for a period of time. And I'm telling people about it and I'm growing. And then like, whatever happens, you take a little break. Things get hard. There's like a challenge in the way. It's hard to problem solve that on your own, whatever it is. And then it's like, you just kind of let it go. And then it just sits on you. It's like, hey, remember me? You put me away years ago, but I still am going to remind you that you really were into me. Like, I just feel like I so relate to this, and I so appreciate you sharing that, because at least for me, sometimes I get afraid of sharing with people like my new passions in case they fizzle out, in case I don't follow through, right? In case I start with a really good opening and not such a good closing. And so hearing you say that, it just made me realize how vulnerable that part of living is, especially with ADD. And I just really value you giving words and experience to that part of living with ADD, because there's like an excitement to it, but also there's like some shame and discomfort around that too. At least for me, like that's my experience.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, that's exactly what comes up for me too. Just like when Abby did like this little motion by her shoulder, it's like little angel and devil, like, hello, baking business. Like, don't forget about me. Okay. Like running track, like these are your examples, right? It's like, and I have my own angel devils going on, probably like a dozen on each shoulder, just weighing me down over here. And it's all like built into some kind of weird guilt that I have about letting go of things that I love to do and that I miss. And man, why don't I make time for that anymore? Because I'm trying to do a million other things and it's so hard to focus. And yeah, so like Abby said, I wanted to talk about this because I do feel like it's not talked about enough. And it came up in our call. And I just feel like not only did I know that it related really hard to me, I knew it would be very, very relatable for Abby too. And I'm sure just so many people can just relate to the idea of like trying to build something out of nothing and then hitting a wall. And it's like, sometimes we're going to just hit that wall and that's going to be that. And other times we're going to break through the wall. And just sort of being able to find the peace with knowing that just because you didn't break down every single wall, every single side hustle or business venture didn't become some full-fledged, ridiculous, over the top big business doesn't mean that it was wrong or bad or that you shouldn't have done it or that it was some kind of flop. Because it's at the end of the day, it's the opposite. It's like, wow, you built that thing and you rode that high for a while and it fizzled out, like that's life, that's reality. Like so many amazing entrepreneurs have built like dozens of businesses that all failed before they found the one thing that everybody needed before they even knew they needed it. And you just don't know without trying. So I love the concept too of we need starters, right?
Yeah.
Like the world needs starters. Like, and maybe that just means that those of us, and I think I'm looking at two other starters who struggle to finish sometimes, right? So I can speak for the three of us, maybe. Maybe us starters that have lots of passion and drive and energy just need to keep working on finding those teams of people around us or that partner or whatever who's going to help push us through that wall to keep going towards that path, or to find ways to get around the wall or pay someone else to tackle this wall over here because that one doesn't sit right with, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like we can all collectively acknowledge that this is really hard. Working and being an adult in the world and trying to like put your stamp on the world is really freaking hard.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's very, very tricky. Yes. Yes. And I think for like women entrepreneurs, I remember chatting with another girl who we went to the same high school. I think she was a few years younger. Both ran cross country, both launched our business in Texas at this expo. And I reached out to her because I was struggling. And, if you look on social media, everyone looks like they're killing it. So we went and talked and then you hear the truth. I'm not going to divulge too much, but she talked about this other, girl who was doing amazing and she closed down and then is living with her parents. And then, I knew this other person from the farmer's market who maxed out their credit cards, but it looked like they were killing it because they were in every Whole Foods. And I was like, damn, like we're all these women, we like need each other, but we're all trying to flex and like not saying like what we need. And I think Naughty Turn Nice learning, like I learned a lot like about so many things, but knowing my strengths and knowing where I need help, looking back, I can say like if I had partnered with maybe the right person, it could have been something, but I just wasn't in the right place. Like, and I didn't have the growth or the know to know those things. It's easier to say now, but I think it taught me like it's so fascinating, like these businesses that are amazing and then close down and then you don't hear about them, but like all the wonderful work that was done. And like, it's like we have shame, like almost as women, because like A, like going out and doing your own thing as a woman entrepreneur, and then B, failing, you feel guilt, shame, all the things. And it's like, but if you talk about it, then you can share, from your mistakes and pass down some like bomb ass wisdom to other women. And so it's like that vulnerability. I just wish we could, as women, like I just feel like we're always trying to, I don't know if it's like our age, because I feel like some of the younger generations are like, you're so beautiful, you're amazing, I love you. They like love each other, but maybe they have the same things. I don't know. The Gen Z, I don't know. But I do notice that they gas each other up a lot. more. And I
Mhm.
feel like I notice more like competitive nature and like holding it inside and not sharing. But that could just be my perception. I don't know. So
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about the younger generations, but I do know that Margot and I have talked about a lot about the unspoken competition we have with our peers, with our colleagues, you know, with people in the same field as us, and how hard it is being, you know, a woman solopreneur,
oh
right?
yeah.
And then when everyone is our competition, right? And we're not able to work together to learn from each other and support each other and find out what's working in the business because can't help each other out. Otherwise, you know, we're going to lose our business, which is not true. I'm just saying like that's
Totally.
like the message we get. And so, I know that we both very much relate to this competitive nature, but the thing that I just want to say is I love that you spoke to someone, and it sucks that you spoke to someone and she was like, yeah, my business isn't great. This other person failed. She's living it out with her parents. Like, that's not great, but it's great that everyone's being honest.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to continuously pretending, oh, I had it all together. Oh, it was just I needed to prioritize my self-care, as opposed to like, no, I needed more help and I didn't know how to get it. Right. And so
Yeah.
I just really appreciate that part of it. It's like, hey, if we all just open up and share a little bit more and stop seeing each other as competition, who knows what can like grow from collaboration and supporting each other.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you said, if you talk about it, things can change. Like people need to talk more about their failures. Yeah. Is what I feel like we're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's like if all of these even small, you know, small business, big business people, not just women, but people spent a lot more time talking about all the times they failed and how they worked through it and what their next steps were. And it could just be as simple as like, hey, I don't really remember what happened, but I failed. Right. Like that's the part that I remember. I don't remember how I came back from it, and if they do, then great. Please share with more people. And like you said something like everyone's flexing, and then like I felt my whole body like shift because it's so true. And I feel like that sometimes. It's like that's something I'm trying really hard to back away from because it's like I hate competition. I hate the concept of it. Abby and I did a whole episode about unspoken competition, as she said, but yeah, I feel myself too. Like I'm looking at people on Instagram, I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, oh, I better be sharing more about that kind of stuff, and less about the dark moments and the times when I didn't get a call back, the times when, you know, stuff that I had scheduled and was really excited about got canceled, you know, like not enough about just the struggle. And I think that's what we're saying, you know, I mean, this is why we're podcasting about anxiety. This is why we're podcasting about anything, because it's like we're trying to speak on things that people are not talking enough about, or at least in our minds they're not talking enough about or being honest enough about.
Giving voice and normalizing.
Yes.
Like, totally. I think just showing,
No, go on.
I was going to say showing our humanness. Like, I think for me, I always, as like the anxiety, not like, you know, I'm forever cleaning my house.
Yeah.
You know, I'm forever cleaning, I'm forever organizing, and like not wanting anyone to see that side of me. I think it's what I've learned through my, I wouldn't say, you know, I would say business venture is, you know, finding those people who can love you the way you are and bring something else to the table is a beautiful thing. And knowing there's still going to be moments where you still feel like, oh my gosh, they've seen me. Like, are they ever going to come back? Are they going to, you know, but I think it's just trusting, and you'll know when you find your people. And I do think, you know, sharing those stories, you'll get the right followers and you'll connect with your people because they feel that like connection, and those will be like the lifelong, you know, because you truly spoke to their soul. That's the hippie in me talking, I think. But
no,
like
so true.
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
It's funny, I started doing some stuff with Poshmark during the pandemic, and I let people into my messy house that I felt comfortable with, my disorganized chaos, because for me, like, it can look chaotic, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah, you
and
know,
that's okay.
yeah. I know
And
exactly what you're talking
the
about.
people who love me are like, I just need a chair. I'm like, yeah, I got you. I got you a great chair. I got you the queen's chair. I like roll it out, like, and then, you know, it's fun because they can see me function in this craziness, like, you know, and it's the people who, you know, they still see your talents, like,
Yes.
and it's really cool because you think that they're just going to think you're a hot mess express, you know, and when you have those moments, you just share about them because, yeah, I mean, I had somebody come over to help with like my drapes and all these things that I needed to get done. And I finally was like, I cannot do this. I cannot watch any more YouTube and I need some help. And my friend, he actually helps, you know, with some things with Naughty Turn Nice and just super type A, super on it, like business person, gets it done. Came from work and is like dress clothes, super hot outside. And there's a lot of places around where I live. And he's like, I just don't have anything to wear. I was like, hold on. What size are you? And then I like literally pulled out in 5 minutes, like a $300 outfit. Like, and he was like, this, I look really good. I was like, your girlfriend can thank me later. And he's like, that's just amazing. And like, you know, it's us sitting and talking, like he knows me. He's like, I just love your creativity and this, that, and the other. And I let him see me just like other, you know, and it's scary. It's still scary. Like even the people who are like some of my closest friends, I'm like, oh, it's just a Nancy shit show again. Like, is that what they're thinking? But no, they, you know, so anyway.
Right. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
So great. It's so nice to know. Like you're yourself and you find the right people. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how anxiety shows up in you physically, right? So let's think about how does it manifest itself in your mind and body, in your behaviors?
For me, definitely my heart starts beating really fast. And then I feel like I'm talking really fast, but I might not be. And then I just feel like very much like all over the place, like not grounded for sure. So,
yeah, I can totally relate to that. Just like not grounded. Like I often feel like if I have a low grade anxiety and it starts to build into overwhelm, I just feel like a head bobbing around. Like I forget I have a body. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. That's like I had this little thing I got for my nephew for graduation and it was $1 and it plays like, I don't know, like Who Let the Grads Out? And the head of the thing just like goes round and round. And I showed my mom, I'm like, this is how I feel so many times.
Yes.
Do you feel this way? And she was like, oh my God, I love you. I was like, this is me.
Totally.
So.
Yes. We need those things so other people can understand our internal experience. It's
always great to have a visual aid to go along for people that don't understand anxiety or ADHD or all the, it's like, oh, you want to know how I feel like I've forgotten my body today? Here, check out this bobblehead. This is what my life is like.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I think many warriors can relate to those sensations and noticings. All right. So talk to us a little bit about your go-to strategies for coping with your anxiety. What kind of like serves you in the moment or when you're pre-planning for something and you notice anxiety coming up, you know, what are your strategies like?
I feel like they've grown and changed, but now specifically, I feel like I say the things to myself that I say to the, you know, kindergartners, like, I'm amazing. I got this. I can do anything. I can be anything. And it's like, it makes me chuckle, but it's like so true and real. It like almost talks me, like, you know, and so now that's kind of like not a joke again with the kindergarten teachers, but if we're having a hard time, we're like, I'm amazing. I can do anything. I can be anything. And it just takes the edge off a little. And if I'm having a really hard time, I'll like ground myself by like sitting on the floor in my classroom. I have my one coworker who's like, oh, your last session was really hard. I'm like, yeah, because I'm on the floor. If I'm in the chair, she's like, oh, okay, not so bad. And it's not bad. It's just, I've learned like, I need to just do what I need to do for my body, even if it looks weird to other people, because I need to get like out of that bobbly
Yes.
and come back down to earth. I actually have grass in my classroom now, like AstroTurf, and I got it at Menards, and it's been very grounding for the kids. And I love it. And I have some in my house, like to help me ground. I know that's kind of silly. People are like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I found this stuff that like is soft and nice. And even the guy at Menards, because I, got some for the house, like I just wanted a little bit. And he's like, you can get this other stuff over here. I'm like, oh, no. I need the soft, real feeling grass to walk on, to crawl around. I'm like with the kids and myself.
Yeah. Always use the kids as a scapegoat. It's for the kids. It's for the kids.
Yeah. One of my friends, he's very holistic chiropractor, and he does like earthing where he goes on the grass, and like having it in the room, I did it for the kids. And then I was like, when I called it in, me and the janitor, we were just like laying on it. We're like, this feels so nice. Like it's grounding. So you might find me doing that.
I love that. And now you're giving other people a new tool they can try out. Like part of me is like, oh, I should go see if I can find this stuff. Like
they have samples. Yes. EcoTurf. They cut them. They're right above. You only need 2, 1 for each foot.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
I feel like, so you said it's a couple of times that it's soft. Cause like when I think AstroTurf, I think not comfortable. I feel like it's plasticky or doesn't feel good. So like, it has to be like super good quality AstroTurf. Like you said, the real feeling stuff. It's like, how much does it actually feel like grass?
You will know when you find it. I'm pretty sure it's called EcoTurf. It's at Menards, I know right now. And like, you'll know from like the fake grass, like that they sell in the roll. Like if you feel it, like it's soft where you could like crawl around on it. The other stuff will like hurt your body and the kids, and the kids have given good feedback, but they do. The sample squares are free. Like they let me take like 10 the other day, and they're good for pretend play. If you work with the kids, they can like the animals eat the grass, and they can like step in the grass. And
I love that. That's so great. I love that it's like a tool for the kids, but it's a tool for you, because everything the kids need is stuff we need also as human
and they
beings.
came up with the feeding with the grass and stuff. Like I didn't do that, like it, and I learned from them. And then they're like, this feels so good, and can I take my socks off? I'm like, oh, maybe I need that.
Yeah. Let's all take our socks off. It's such a beautiful sensory experience that you're offering them, right? As a choice, of course. But I mean, and especially for like the sad reality is that a lot of kids around the country are not always able to go outside for recess, or they have a very short recess, or their recess is on a completely concrete covered, metal covered playground experience where they're not really getting to touch earth. And so I love that you're kind of bringing the earth inside for them and for yourself. That's so beautiful. And I also, I was a preschool teacher for over a decade. So like, I'm very comfortable, and I'm obviously still with kids all the time. Being on the floor feels so good and grounding. And I love that you're just like, I literally need to get low to the ground right now, like sit or lay on the ground to feel more grounded for your anxiety. It's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. I do love that you said that, because that's like a quirk of mine is I sit on the floor a lot. And I didn't even know that was a quirky thing until one time my friend was like, oh, you're just doing the Abby thing. And I was like, what? And then I realized like, oh, wait, no, you're right. Like I came over to her house, and instead of sitting in a couch or a chair, I just sat on the floor. Right. And I was like, oh, that's a thing. But I love that you said that. I feel like I haven't heard anyone in our podcast use that as a coping, but it really is. It's like, sometimes I just have to get and sit on the floor with or without grass. It's like, I just got to sit down, maybe stretch, maybe breathe, maybe just be sitting. Like, that.
As close to the ground as possible.
Yeah, I'm like,
so good.
They're like, is she okay? It's our OT, or occupational therapist. She's weird. She likes grass. It's fine.
It's fine. She's just curled up on her lawn, her classroom lawn. It's all right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love it. So
and
beautiful.
I think just being okay with the jokes. People will say like, oh, she's gonna have a pool next, and like the kids all want to come.
Sounds
and then
great.
the adults are like, they're like, wow, it's so relaxing. And it's like, yeah, I'm a little like out of the box. But, and then that's where our, that creativity comes in, where you see things differently that people don't see.
Yes.
So.
Right. So beautiful. That's right. March into the beat of your own drum. All right. So if you could go back in time and offer a younger version of yourself a bit of advice, what would you say to her?
I would say just be true to yourself and just definitely be you, because I feel like full circle, like that's where you end up coming back to as you get older.
Yes.
You
Right.
don't
It's
have
like we
to
spend so much of our life trying to be this society version, right? The outside pretty prim and proper version that like feels palatable for the world. When in reality, right, we're denying something deep and more true, which is who you are.
Yeah. I love it.
So good. All right. So final question before we get into some lightning round fun.
Oh man.
So excited.
No pressure.
No pressure. No, deep breaths. Sitting on the floor, cozy chair. Okay. What does being an anxiety warrior mean to you?
I think for me, it means just being vulnerable and sharing, your struggles, because your struggles become gifts to other people, of what they can do and connection. So I think that for me, it's definitely sharing and telling your story and being okay to talk about the messy parts of you, because they might speak to someone and help them futuristically. It's almost like speaking to my past self, but able to share it, with others. So
beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, you just covered my body in chills and brought tears to my eyes. That was really beautiful and touching, that like sharing our struggles can be gifts to other people. Like,
yeah, I think I just see it with, the kids and my family members, and, being not afraid to show that, you always want to be like, I'm the coolest and the best and this. And it's like, no, like I relate to you, and this is what you can do, and this is what I know.
Yeah.
So
beautiful. Oh my gosh. I know. I'm like covered in like, it's like, how are we supposed to transition into like silliness?
Space Jam.
That's right. We're on audio media, everyone. So Nancy over here is dressed in just like the best t-shirt, Space Jam circa 1990. What was it? 95? I don't even know. I'm going to have to Google that.
Yeah.
Somebody correct me out there. It'll be post episode. I'll have to correct myself. But just like forever ago, but one of the best / worst movies.
Yes.
True.
Yes.
And I think I was allowed to watch it homeschool years. Yeah. So that's why I was able to. But I think like I always used to wear like Bulls t-shirts, Cubs t-shirts, thrift store t-shirts, and I feel like a few years ago, like I probably would have been like, I have to have this cute shirt on and this, that, and I'm like, no, this is me. This is what I'm wearing. I like this shirt.
We like the shirt too. You're with your people here.
That's right. Can't speak for the rest of the world, but you're in good company here in the Zoom room.
Yes. If I had my Brandon Walsh shirt, I would be wearing that right now.
We should do that one day.
I was like, please tell me who Brandon Walsh is.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right.
We should have like 90s shirt day.
Brandon Walsh is from 90210 for those of you that don't know.
I had a moment actually where I was like, there's certain things you might say, and I'm like homeschooled because
90210. I'm guessing you weren't allowed to watch that.
Not. I wasn't even allowed to watch that for quite
Me
a while.
I still snuck it though.
Yeah,
but I wasn't supposed to watch it.
Luke Perry pillow, Brandon Walsh shirt.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
All right. This is next level. We gotta pause it there. Gotta pause it there. Okay. All right. So Nancy, are you ready for lightning round?
I know I'm like Nancy B.
Nancy B be in the house. Nancy B. Here we go. Okay. So I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
I'm going first. Okay.
You can pause. You can breathe. You don't have to answer instantaneously. You can take a breath and think about your response.
Is it like one word answer? Is it like a sentence?
No,
like
just
sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever your answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So we're just going to go back and forth and ask a fun question. It's going to be, you're going to be fine. I promise. All right. So we've been talking a lot about marching to the beat of our own drums a little bit, right? We've been talking a lot about being who you are, which I'm guessing, and from knowing you from like a few years now, but in a very limited capacity, that you're like Abby and myself when I say that you're like a little bit quirky, maybe a little bit like proud of your dorkiness or like weirdness. Hopefully I'm not projecting that onto you. You're nodding. Okay, good. All right. So what would you say is the coolest thing about you though? If there's like, if you would consider yourself to be like mostly like boho quirky, like what's something that's like just all in cool, like universally cool?
I feel like it would definitely be, being able to talk to people and like get into places sometimes. Like people used to call me PR when we would go out. And so that's always fun for me. And I feel comfortable in those situations for some reason. So I feel like that's definitely when I'm comfortable, that's kind of fun to like meet people. And I'm not even trying to like get in anywhere. I just like, learning about people, and that, that's fun. So
yeah. Cool. All right.
Yeah. That was a tough question. I was like, ooh, what would I say?
I have
know,
zero
like,
things to say.
I'm only
asked
saying
it
this because my friends tell me I'm the PR person. I don't know anymore. 38 now, but
Love that.
I'm gonna have to dig deep for days to try to find one cool thing about
Yeah.
me.
It's like, what do I was cool. I was cooler. Okay. Mine's a little bit changing topics slightly. So you have your Looney Tunes shirt on. Well, Space Jam, but with Looney Tunes characters. So if you had to have one of them as a roommate for like the next 2 years, which character would you choose to be your roommate?
Oh my. I'm like looking at them because I'm like, do I know about them? Was I allowed to watch cartoons? Only the Jesus ones, Channel TV 38. Definitely not the Tasmanian Devil, even though he might understand my messiness. Gosh, that's a tough one. Or maybe I would pick him because, we could just together.
Yeah.
Fly off the handle.
What creativity could arise with you and Taz together?
Yeah, maybe in my 20s, roommate Taz.
Okay, all right.
Take over the world.
That's it.
Yes. Okay, all right. Who was your childhood celebrity crush?
Oh, you guys are really tapping into this homeschool thing.
Okay, high school then. Maybe high school.
Okay. Because I was gonna say there was this like Christian rap group that I had a crush on but that's not really celebrity. In high school, gosh, probably like Devin Sawa and
Yes.
yeah, the huge
Casper.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, how will people know Devin Sawa? He was in like Ladybugs.
And wait, what was that? Before and after,
then and now.
Then and now.
No, now and then.
Now and then. I love that movie.
Now and then.
Yes.
I know, it's a
I love
classic.
that. That's so good. I had the CD, the soundtrack.
I know, it was such a good soundtrack. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay, good.
I'm gonna go tap a little bit back into the homeschool days just because I'm super curious. What is the first like TV show you remember watching that wasn't like Jesus or Christianity based?
Hmm.
And then sing the theme song, obviously.
Oh gosh. I feel like it would be probably Dawson's Creek. And that is a high pitched, I don't want to wait. I'm just gonna say I don't want to wait. Yeah. That's up there.
Yeah. I want to know right now.
Yeah.
What will it be? I like how immediately you and I start singing Abby. We're just like, leave Nancy in the
And
dust.
here's me like, I don't want to wait. Here's my homeschoolness.
You have like zero passion behind that voice. Just like, I don't want to wait.
Well, my
That's like,
sister's a singer, so I just don't want to embarrass myself anymore. She's got that.
We love
She got that
embarrassing
voice.
ourselves.
No, I know. I do
You're
too.
in good company again.
I know.
Did you hear us sing?
I thought it was great.
Really? Oh wow, Abby, we have our only fan.
I thought it was great. I am gonna clip this.
Nancy, her life just
Yeah,
now.
well,
You
not
thought her
only do I
singing.
not sing, like, well, I will do it anyway because I sing around the kids all the time, but I like to like make up my own lyrics to songs I feel. And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
I learn what they are and I'm like, oh shit,
Whoops.
you know, that's
Yeah.
what that was.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So good.
I do that.
Yes. Everyone's done that at least a dozen times, I would think. Okay. My final question.
Mhm.
We know you love to bake. So if you could only for the rest of your life bake one thing out of like your naughty turn night, you know, you got one item, signature treat. What is it?
Ooh, chocolate chip cookies.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's soft. They're soft. Yeah.
So good.
I know
Yes.
some people like crunchy, but
No.
like
I
the
mean, I
soft.
love all kind of cookies, but
Yeah.
soft all the
I agree.
way. Delicious. All right.
Warm, good cookie skillet. I feel like that would.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, a skillet
From the
cookie.
oven.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. With a little ice cream on top.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just like super gooey.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. My final
Love it.
question. So I know that you're super into dancing in the clubs.
Mm.
And so if you could only do one dance move from the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s, and hopefully you know the name, you know, like there's the Running Man or the Dab, or, you know, every time you go to the clubs, you can only do that one move.
Man, you're going to get kicked out of that club really fast.
What would be your go-to dance move?
Oh God. Probably the percolator. Can we cue the music? Yeah,
So good.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God. We're not even going to break this down for our audience.
Yeah.
They can Google it.
I remember hearing it for the first time in the parking lot where I used to live. And I just remember like this sister was on like brother's back, like piggyback, and they're like, time for the percolator. And I was just like, I like that. Yeah.
Oh my
So every
gosh.
time it comes on, it's just like, that's a happy one.
Love it.
So good. That's a
Yeah.
good one. That's a good choice for the rest of your days in the club.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I do it correctly. I mean, but
No,
I will
no.
do it.
Yes.
Nobody
Yeah.
asked you that. You're good.
Yeah. And for all our warriors listening, I have no idea if Nancy likes the club or not. That part was a joke to
was gonna
segue
say,
into the dancing.
I don't know that the sarcasm was well laid out there, but now that you know, warriors, it was a little more sarcastic. All right. This was so much fun, Nancy. Thank you
Yes.
for
was a
indulging
blast.
us in you inspired the hell out of us first, and then just our favorite part is always lightning round though.
Yes.
Killed it. So we like to ask all of our guests before we sign off to share a win of the week. So it could be anything big or small that felt like a win for you this week or recently.
I think a win for me, I'm actually looking at this coaster my friend gave me, and I would have in the past been like, oh my gosh, I've been seen. So and it says, my housekeeping style is best described as there appears to have been a struggle. And it literally like made me laugh out loud. And I was like, I just love you so much. Like, you know me, and like, you know, so I just feel like this before I would have gotten so insecure and so much anxiety about this. And to me now this is beautiful, you know? And it's definitely it's a work in progress, but yeah, that's my win of the week because that like actually made me smile. And before I think I would have been like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing, you know?
Totally.
Like overanalyzing it or
Yeah. And what a shift. I mean, one, like your friends know who you are and they love and adore you. Right. And then also for you to just be like, that's funny. That's me. Right. It's like, as opposed to like rejecting it or being uncomfortable, at least, you know, I love that. What a good story.
And now if anyone walks in, I'm just like, here.
Yeah.
Read the coasters. Nancy B out.
But thank you both for, you know, everything you've done for me, because I really feel that a lot of my growth is because of both of you, you know, learning the importance of mindfulness and going inward and that just, I mean, it's helped me so much. So thank you.
Thank you so much. We love you.
Yeah.
Love you.
Thanks for being here. All right, Nancy, before we let you go, share with our listeners where they can find you, where they can connect with you.
You can find me just Instagram, Nancy Beechy. There is a Naughty Turn Nice, but I don't really do anything with that one. So just Nancy Beechy on Instagram.
Nice. So good. All right, Nancy. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on our show. This has been just awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
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 Woo, warriors. Oh my gosh, this conversation is just so special. They're all special, but man, I really loved this chat.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like she said so many things that we hadn't actually like spoken out loud before, or she said it in a way that I hadn't thought of, or in a way where I felt really connected. Like, wow, we share so many experiences. It was so awesome to connect with her.
Yeah. So what came up for you?
I mean, I feel like one of my takeaways is always very much connected to other people's stories too. But again, it's just, you just don't know about other people's lives and other people's stories. And, like I can't and can at the same time imagine how much anxiety I would have going into a middle school, after being homeschooled for so many years and just feeling like trying to figure out what this new world is. And so, my takeaway again is just like, you never know someone's story. You think you do, but like, I just can imagine what it must have felt like being in middle school, and then the stories the middle schoolers might have put on me because I didn't understand the songs they were singing or the dances they were doing. But also my takeaway is just how, middle school was a defining moment for a lot of us. And just the stories we picked up in middle school that we either carried with us or chose to let go at some point in our lives, and just how I don't know what the word is, informative, how much middle school can inform who we become.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that part of the conversation was just so fascinating for me too. I think one of my takeaways from the early part of our chat, learning about the homeschooling journey and then moving, like you said, transitioning into not just public schooling, but public middle schooling, which, as you said, is such a challenging time for, I would think, most kids, let alone coming from a very sheltered background of learning at home and all the church stuff and everything there too. And I love what you said about, we don't know what other people are walking with from their past or anything. I loved just sort of thinking about that time period too. I loved being able to talk, not just hear from Nancy, but like have the three of us kind of talk about like just being a tween, right? Like, I feel like that's something we really haven't covered, not at length with any of our guests, and certainly not even the two of us, on like what it was like as a tween, right?
Awkward.
To just like be changing and changing in front of your peers in the locker room and stuff like shaving and bras and body stuff and hair. And I feel like she made a joke about being Greek and Italian, like, and it's just so deeply relatable. And also that time can be really scarring for a lot of young people.
Yeah.
Right. And so like you said, it's like, I can imagine, but I can't imagine in a way. It's like, I have both sides going on in my brain. It's like, I can't imagine what it would have been like for myself to come from homeschooling to then suddenly be with a bunch of tween girls my age, like not understanding like culture basically, or like the outside of church world culture, right? Like pop culture and stuff that kids are into, music, dancing, and all that stuff. So yeah, I appreciated just the conversation about the challenges of being a tween.
Yeah.
Another
takeaway of mine was when she was talking about being, a good opener and not such a good closer.
Yes.
And I mean, the first thing is I can so relate, right? But when she was sharing that, what also came up for me was the shame within me of
Yes.
all the things I've started that I haven't finished and how I don't give voice to that.
Mhm.
Right. I always have a reason why I didn't get to finish it, but it's still sitting on my shoulders. It's still like, hey, you were into this and you still kind of are. It's not like I'm not into some of my ideas. Right.
Sure.
But it's just like hard finding time for them or following through or knowing the next step. And so I just so appreciated her giving voice to that experience and the
Mhm.
bravery it takes to say that. Like, I'm a really good opener. I have a ton of really awesome ideas, but the follow through is challenging. And we got to figure out at some point when we need to ask for help if we want to follow through.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And that by talking to our peers, our colleagues, we can all support each other so we all don't feel like a bunch of failures, you know? So
Right.
I just
Being
that,
honest about the struggle.
yeah.
Yeah. And I love that you brought up the shame that it brought up in you, because that's exactly how I felt too. It's just like, if this is weighing on one person's mind, right? It's like, it just makes sense that so many of us are going through the exact same feelings, even if they don't have to do with small business, small businesses or whatever.
Right.
It's just like letting things go that we previously loved or that we, still love, but either haven't been able to prioritize or haven't been able to work through or haven't been able to ask for help. And some of it's because we haven't been around the right people who were able to be vulnerable about their own failures and struggles with anything, right? So to be able to normalize like, hey, not everything you try to do is going to be great. And that doesn't make you a failure.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you bad or there's something wrong with you and your work ethic or,
Those are the businesses that I like following on Instagram, the ones that are like, hey, I tried like 8 other things that didn't work, but I just stuck with the bigger vision. And I'm like, oh, thank you. It really takes the pressure off. Like I can make mistakes. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. That was part of the reason why when we had our pre-interview call, when she said that one thing, I was like, this sounds like something that I need. So I'm going to ask this question. Right. And then of course I knew you would relate too. And I'm sure so many of our warrior listeners out there can relate in even the smallest of ways.
Yeah.
Another takeaway that I have is how, man, just Nancy is just so free to be herself. I just get the vibe that I don't know if she's always been like this or if this is something that she's worked really hard towards. And I know that speaking for myself as an almost 40-year-old, there's a lot of things that I'm doing for myself now in my journey that I wasn't doing even a year ago, or certainly not 5, 10, 15 years ago. So I don't know if it's something that she's always been, that's something that's been ingrained in her since early years, or if it's something newer, but over and over again, I kept just hearing Nancy say things that were like, I have to just be okay with doing things in front of people that may make them uncomfortable or like that feel right for me. Right. Like I think it came up when she was talking about her coping strategies and that like, it doesn't matter what's working for other people or what maybe makes them uncomfortable. It's like, if you need something, asking for the help that you need or giving yourself the help that you need without worrying about what the outside world thinks of it.
Right.
And so I really, for my final takeaway, I'm leaving feeling like I can be myself. Like I always feel like that to a certain extent, but then that part of my brain that's like, be like those other businesses or be like that teacher or, be like that author or whatever comes into my own head and my narrative. It's just like, no, I need to keep being me. I need to keep being me. And I just kept getting that from her throughout the conversation. Just like, don't be afraid of what other people might think of what you're doing, what you're trying, what you're saying. If it's serving you, if it's working, if it feels right, then who's anybody to question it?
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
The practice of living your truth,
mm-hmm.
Whether your truth is you prefer to sit on the floor or your truth is, you need to run a business, whatever the truth is, it's like, or multiple little truths. It's like always the practice of living your truth rather than catering to others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like my final takeaway is pretty short. And I don't want to get like too much into it, but for me, it was this aha moment where she talked about how when she went from homeschool into middle school, you know, and then her friends, her sister's friends would come over, or her friends would come over, and she wanted to like make sure they weren't going to go to hell. Right. And in my mind, like if I was in middle school and someone was talking to me about like Jesus or, oh, don't do that, you might go to hell, I might be like, oh my God. Like, right. Like even now as an adult, like I want to be honest, like if someone started coming at me with religion, I would put a lot of walls up around that, like to separate myself from that person. But my takeaway was she was genuinely doing that coming from a really good, sincere place. And that for me, that was like, okay. I may not agree. I may, you know, but I can be a little bit more empathetic and compassionate.
Yes.
To those situations.
Yeah, I love that you added that at the end, because I feel like, look, there's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, that are doing their damnedest, their darndest to impose their beliefs, whether they be religious or spiritual or whatever, onto other people. And so within reason, right? Like it sounds like it wasn't like, let me tell you all the reasons why you're going to go to hell.
Right.
Right. It was just like, we can't be listening to that song because this, right? Or I'm worried about it because, and because it came from you could tell, I'm sure that it came from a place of love. So like, there is a difference too, between people that are banging on your door to try to sell you on a specific churches or whatever, and a friend or a colleague or someone that, you know, love and respect, even coming to you with like how they, you know, where you can tell that they have your best interests at heart in a moment.
Right.
In that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Because without the empathy and compassion of seeing that experience through someone trying to help me, I'm going to be a lot more short and abrupt and, you know, like, I don't know, like, you know, triggered. Right. Yeah. But when I have the lens of like, okay, this is coming from a good place, I can open up with a dialogue and curiosity, right, and see the other human. And so that, you know, that was just like a flash of aha moment during the combo.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Nancy, for being with us. This was such an incredible chat. And of course, we had a fast and lightning round like we always do. Yes. We hope that you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed having this chat. Warriors, if you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on Instagram. We're at Anxiety Warriors Podcast, or you can shoot us an email at anxietywarriorspodcast@gmail.com. Shout out your wins of the week. Let us know if you have topic ideas, things you'd like to hear us talk about, or if you think you'd be an awesome fit as a guest on our show. Let's connect and hear your story and get it on the calendar. If you can, please take 2 seconds, smash that 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of our episodes are uploaded over there. And jump in our show notes and click on our Threadless shop. We have some brand new merch over there. They're now doing yoga mats.
Yeah.
Yoga mats. Oh my gosh. We were so excited about this edition. Not just because we love the practice and a lot of what we talk about is related to it, but because, I mean, they're just
now we got
pretty.
Our graphics on a yoga mat.
Right. They're just pretty.
Yes. Yeah.
Even if you're not some hardcore yogi, like we're not. I know I'm not. Yeah, I teach yoga to kids, but I'm not on my mat all the time. But it's like when I'm on my mat, I want it to be cool and fun and make me want to sit on it.
And maybe you're a floor sitter like me.
And
get
Nancy.
A nice yoga mat. And Nancy, get a nice yoga mat. Sit on the floor.
That's right.
Remind yourself you're an anxiety warrior, and part of your practice is floor sitting.
Grounding in some small way. Love it. Okay, warriors. And that's it.
Yes. Thank you all so much for going on this journey with us. We are so, so grateful we get to do this with y'all.
We love you. Till next time.